The year was 1947. The sun beat down on the barren hills near the Dead Sea, its light shimmering over a landscape that seemed as lifeless as the water itself. For Muhammad adh-Dhib, a young Bedouin shepherd, it was just another day. His goats wandered among the rocks, and boredom crept in as he watched the endless horizon. But fate has a way of turning the ordinary into the extraordinary. One goat strayed, vanishing into the cliffs of Qumran. Muhammad, like so many shepherds before him, set off in pursuit. He picked up a stone and tossed it into a dark crevice, hoping to startle the animal out. Instead of the expected clatter, he heard a strange, muffled sound, the unmistakable crack of pottery breaking. Curiosity, that ancient spark, drew him closer. He squeezed through the narrow opening, heart pounding, and found himself in a cool, silent cave untouched for centuries. Inside, tall clay jars stood in the shadows, their surfaces hardened by time. Muhammad reached out, hands trembling, and opened one. Inside, wrapped in linen, were scrolls sold, brittle, covered in faded Hebrew and Aramaic script. At first, he thought they might be useful as leather for sandals. He had no idea that he was holding fragments of the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century. The scrolls passed from hand to hand, traded by Bedouin merchants and antiquities dealers, until they finally reached the world of scholars. The excitement was electric, but it quickly gave way to debate, speculation, and even conspiracy. What were these scrolls? Who had written them? And what secrets did they hold? As experts began to study the texts, the first surprise was their sheer variety. There were familiar passages from the Old Testament, almost identical to the versions we know today, a testament to the care of ancient scribes. But there were also dozens of unknown works, apocryphal stories, community rules, hymns, and commentaries. Together, they painted a vivid picture of Jewish life during the Second Temple period, a time of intense religious and political upheaval. The leading theory soon focused on a group called the Essenes. These were men and women who lived apart from society, devoted to ritual purity and waiting for a messianic age. Their settlement at Qumran, perched above the caves, seemed to match the strict communal life described in the scrolls. The community rule, one of the most important texts, revealed a group obsessed with righteousness, order, and their role as the true Israel. This discovery shattered the old idea of a single, unified Judaism, revealing instead a world of competing beliefs and passionate hopes. But history is rarely simple. As more scrolls were studied, new questions emerged. Some scholars argued that the Essenes might not have been the only authors. Perhaps Qumran was not a monastery, but a fortress, a trading post, or even a pottery workshop. Maybe the scrolls had been hidden by many different Jewish groups, fleeing the Roman invasion in 6th CE, desperate to save their sacred writings from destruction. In this view, the caves held not one library, but many, a snapshot of an entire era, rescued from the edge of oblivion. Among the most astonishing discoveries was a new understanding of the Messiah. While Christian tradition speaks of a single Messiah, the scrolls hinted at something more complex. Some texts described two Messiahs, one priestly, one royal. This was not the Christ of the Gospels, but a vision of messianic hope that was still taking shape. It challenged long-held beliefs and revealed just how diverse and dynamic ancient faith could be. If you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that bring history's greatest mysteries to life. And then there was the Copper Scroll. Unlike the others, this was not written on fragile parchment, but etched onto sheets of pure copper. It was not a religious text, but a treasure map, a detailed list of hidden gold, silver, and precious vessels scattered across ancient Judea. For decades, treasure hunters have searched for these riches, but none have been found. The Copper Scroll remains a tantalizing mystery, blurring the line between history and legend. The Dead Sea Scrolls also shed light on the violence and turmoil of their time. The War Scroll, for example, describes an apocalyptic battle between the Sons of Light and the Sons of Darkness, a cosmic struggle that mirrored the real conflicts between Jewish rebels and the Roman Empire. These were not just theological ideas, but deeply felt hopes and fears, born in a world on the brink of disaster. The impact of the scrolls went far beyond religion. They pushed back the history of the Hebrew Bible by centuries, revealing new dialects and forgotten words. The painstaking work of preserving and reading these fragile fragments inspired new methods in archaeology and conservation. As technology advanced, scholars used multispectral imaging to uncover words that had faded to invisibility, finding new secrets in texts thought to be unreadable. Over the decades, the initial excitement gave way to careful, patient study. The old certainty about the Essenes faded, replaced by a broader view. The Qumran caves likely held the writings of many Jewish groups, all trying to preserve their heritage in a dangerous world. The scrolls, it became clear, were not the voice of one sect, but a chorus of voices from a world in transition. In the end, the true revelation of the Dead Sea Scrolls is not a single answer, but a window into a lost world. They show us a Judaism that was diverse, passionate, and alive with hope and fear. They reveal the roots of both Rabbinic Judaism and Christianity and remind us of the human need to remember, to question, and to believe. From a shepherd's idle toss of a stone to the global stage of scholarship and wonder, the story of the Dead Sea Scrolls is one of chance, discovery, and enduring mystery. They continue to fascinate, to challenge, and to inspire. And perhaps, somewhere in the silent cliffs of Qumran, another secret still waits to be found, another chapter in the story of humanity, waiting for someone curious enough to look. So, if you're as captivated by these mysteries as we are, don't forget to subscribe and join us for more journeys into the past. Because history is not just what happened, it's the stories we uncover, the questions we ask, and the wonder we share.